Shalawam.
Yeah, Shalawam. Yahawah BAHASHAM. Yahawashai Brakatha.
Yahawashim. Yahawashai Barakatah.
So, you want to give the intro?
So yeah, this so-called Martin Luther King Day was today. And basically the scriptures have a great deal to say about, what the spirit that he was in, and basically how he misled our people, because that's basically what it comes down to, That was a deception, and that was just another device that Esau used to, to further destroy our people. Because, if you look at the fruits of what that did today on the earth, nothing really good came out of it. Our kids, our so-called black children, Israelites, are getting still shot down, and, everything is still the same. If anything, it got worse, so.
Khan. Like to say, all praise due to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, Yahawashai, double honors to apostles and elders, and the sincere AHCHYAM out there, Shalawam. We're doing a quick hit in the spirit, how they say we have to pull down the imagination and the stronghold of Martin Luther King, because nothing has changed since the 60s, and it's just been pushed under the table, how they say, because Esau, the white man, is still the devil, just because he gives us or he gives the world, especially the United States, a day honoring a so-called black man, a so-called peace activist. Nothing has changed according to the Bible. So we're here. We're praising the Most High, Yahawah BAHASHAM, Yahawashai, to keep pushing this word. So you want to go into the scriptures?
Let me see. Should I hit the Deuteronomy first?
I think maybe, yeah, go ahead. If the Spirit wants to bring it out first, let's do it.
All right, so this is Deuteronomy 13 and 5. It says, and that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from Yahawah your power.
That's right.
Which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord Yahawah thy power commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. So, this is basically touching on the law, because the Deuteronomy, is part of the Torah, which is the first, the 5 books of Moses, which was the law that Yahawah gave, to Moses to give to us, to the children of Israel.
That's right.
And, it's basically telling you, if a prophet or has a false prophet or a scheme, or, he's basically supposed to be put to death, because he's pulling you away from, because basically anything that's not in the scriptures is false. And
that's
this
right,
guy wasn't coming out of the Bible, even though he perceived to be a man of God. Actually what he was preaching was not according to the Bible. So that was a false dream that he had. So that's why the Most High put him to death.
Yeah, there's many scriptures where the whole Bible is about one people. So why is he proclaiming himself to be a preacher, and then coming out his own mind talking about he wants the so-called African Americans, which are the tribe of Judah, and the so-called white people in this country, which is the nation of Edom? Why does he want them to hold hands together, if according to the Bible the children of Israel will be oppressed by an oppressor, and that only fits one people, is the so-called black people, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So as a Christian, he should know that the Romans oppressed the Lord's people. So this was the same thing happening to the so-called blacks. So why would an oppressed people join hands with the oppressor, and to join hands in hands and try to make a kingdom of heaven on earth? Nah, because you're trying to discount the other prophecies which says the Lord would uplift the meek and the poor of the earth. Not him, not Martin Luther King, not any civil rights legislation. But we know the Most High still uses these instances in history to work for the benefit of the truth coming out, and that's exactly what it did. It opened up a platform for us to have more liberties, so to speak, in the public, where we eventually were able to come on the streets, the highways, the byways, and preach the Bible, you know. So it all worked out in the end, but we are saying that Martin Luther King did not come out of the Bible to say these things that he said, specifically to hold hand to hand with the oppressor, to hold hand to hand with the same people, the descendants of the same people that put our people in slavery, who raped, robbed, and murdered the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and who actually were doing it during his time too. So it was not like he was doing something 20 years down the road. He was doing it at the time that were still oppressing, rape, robbing, and murdering the people back in the 60s and the 50s down south.
Yeah, that was a time of segregation, you know, a time of heavy segregation. The signs that used to say, you know, no colored, no blacks, no Negroes. So, I mean, why would you be, you know, nobody really wants to be somewhere where they're not welcome, you know. If anything, you just set up your own business, and that's what was happening. But, you know, thanks to so-called Martin Luther King, you know, that dream, the real vision where we was going to prosper was destroyed. But ultimately, you know, it wasn't the Most High's will. It wasn't like he actually changed anything that was not part of the plan anyways. But I'm gonna bring this precept out because you were saying with the hand, you know, joining in hand, and the scriptures speak about that. So this is Proverbs 11:21. It says, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished. All right, so the wicked, obviously, if you know about, you know the scriptures, people in the Bible, that's called the wicked. You know, wickedness is something that exists, meaning evil or contrary to the Heavenly Father. But there's actual people in the Bible, a race of people that's called the wicked.
Right.
And that's the so-called white man. All right, so basically what the scripture is saying, you know, it's obviously this whole book is for the Israelites. So it's speaking to the Israelites. It says, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. So basically, you know, that whole concept of us joining in hands with the wicked, because obviously by his fruits we knew that he was the wicked when he came to, you know, when he came to so-called America and did what he did to the, you know, the Native American, the North American Indians, which are the tribe of Gad, right, which were Israelites. So we know that what he did to them was obviously a testimony of his own wickedness. I mean, there's plenty of people at that time that had documentation of what they was doing, and those things was just really like cruel, you know, on the next level type of cruelty. So by that time, we talking about how many hundreds of years later? What, 200-300 years later? Excuse me, well, more than that. A couple, maybe 300 to 400 years later. After this white man has established his kingdom on this land, which he stole and, you know, robbed from the Native Americans. Then you have a Negro, which is also an Israelite, trying to keep the peace with the same man who, you know, destroyed his same brethren. So that's completely wicked. And the wicked, it said the wicked shall not be unpunished. So there has to be a judgment for what they did. And basically, that's crazy that you even want to join hand in hand with someone who has to be judged by the Heavenly Father. That's scary, bro.
And to go into the real quick into the history, it actually lasted from different European empires. The Spaniards first, then you had you had the French come out here, the British so-called white people, the French so-called white people, Spanish so-called white people, and then you had the American-born, the North American-born so-called white people. They picked up the rape, robbery, murder, and continued on from you should say like the 1600s all the way up to let's put it into Martin Luther King's time. You know what I'm saying? Different levels at different times. It was high, it was less. It was higher, it was less. But during the 60s and 50s, there was still lynching going on. There was assassinations. He actually got assassinated for his efforts. You know what I'm saying? So it was a continual process from the invasion of Europe to this land, and all the way up to Martin Luther King's time, where so-called died down with the civil rights legislation. But the point is that all that can be swept under the rug with civil rights rights. You know what I'm saying? Just because you have the right to drink in a water fountain with so-called white people, or share the same restroom, or sit at the same diner, that does not, according to the Bible, the Lord said that all things must come to brought back from the past. All the crimes, all the sins, you know, all these things, these injustices have to be brought back up again, because people have to pay for their sins, for the atrocities done to the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So this is why we say Martin Luther King is wrong. Okay, He has no right to sweep that under the rug. Okay, we're holding hand to hand. That's a sickness. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right. And basically, just to make this quick point, to put it into an analogy so people can understand, sin is like a credit card. You have to, you pay. What do they say? You use it now, but you pay later. So there's nothing on this earth. You can't just do something on the earth and not get this karma. There's a system that the Most High put in place that is called karma. For lack of better words, it's called karma. And if you do something, it comes back. So there's no way that you can do wickedness like that. What the white man did, with the so-called, like you mentioned, all of the different tribes or whatever you want to say of the white man, the French and the Spaniards and stuff, the Portuguese, which all are Edomites in the Bible anyways. But you can't just do all of that and then get away with it. Like the brother was saying, the scriptures talks about how the Most High requireth that which is past. So, the fact that he was joining with them, he obviously was not inspired by the scriptures to do that movement. That was an inspiration that came from the left-hand side, all right, from Satan. Basically, that was a false dream. That was a false imagination of us joining hand in hand with the same people who was oppressing us.
Right, and it's not like those people moved out of the country. Those people settled this land, those Europeans, and they became the forefathers of the people we see on the everyday streets of America.
Right.
They're descendants of French. They're descendants of Spaniards. They're descendants of British. Okay? So those people, the descendants are still here, and they were actually present when Martin Luther King was protesting and doing all those moves he was doing to try to get rights. So those people are the descendants of the people who raped, robbed, and murdered our people. The Native Americans, the Hispanics of black descent and indigenous descent, and the African Americans. So we know that there's a recompense and a payback which has to come behind that. So right. I'm going to read real fast. This is one scripture which drives home the point of people having to pay or answer to the Most High God for what are their crimes of the past. So this is Ecclesiastes in the Bible, chapter 3, verse 15. That which has been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and Yahawah requireth that which is past. Okay? Right. And Yahawah requireth that which is past, meaning all things have to be brought back in the judgment of the Lord. So he's going to give to the people for the rape, robbery, and murder. We know that. We could go in the scriptures and look at prophecies how people have to pay as nations for the crimes of the past. So
just like we did, because what the hell did our ancestors do? Our direct ancestors, the ones that they not only that was here, on the land of America, North America, South and Central America, but I'm talking about in West Africa too. They just came up in there and snatched them up, put them on cargo slave ships and brought them over here. And you would say, oh, what did those people actually do to the white man that he did that to them? He didn't do anything directly, but it was the sins of our forefathers. That's why we had to go into slavery. So now it's going to work the same way around. When you do a sin or when you commit any type of transgression or thing, it has a ripple effect, all right? Your family got to pay. Even when you die, it has a ripple effect. Your family got to pay for your funeral. So this is showing that is a system that exists. You can't just say, oh, it was my forefathers. That somebody has to pay for that. If they didn't pay, which like you mentioned earlier, these are the grandchildren and descendants of those same people that did those crimes, and they still living good, and they haven't paid or recompensed us back for what they did.
That's right.
Our ancestors. So the Most High is going to require that, like the scripture you just read.
So I have one more, just one more in the spirit. It brought it out. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 6. It says, seeing it is a righteous thing with God, okay, with Yahawah, to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. Okay? So seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense, meaning to pay back, tribulation to them that trouble you. So this is speaking specifically to the Israelites, okay? So we know we are the Israelites, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So it is a righteous thing that's going to happen, which is the so-called white man, the Europeans specifically, and America, the European descendant Americans, will receive a recompense, a payback of tribulation. And that tribulation is death, okay, and slavery. They're going to be killed with the sword, and they're going into slavery according to the prophecies of the Holy Bible.
That's right. Con. And real quick, because I missed this point earlier when I read Proverbs 11 and 21. The first verse, it says, a false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. So that's a whole false balance, man. That we had to pay for our sins, and now we just going to hold hands with the white man, and he hasn't paid for his yet. That's false balance, bro. That can't be. And that's why the Most High separated that. So I wanted to go back into Deuteronomy real quick and hit up this scripture, Deuteronomy 7 and 2. Well, verse 2 and 3, but I'm going to start at 2. It's, and Yahawah thy power shall deliver them before thee. Thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor shew mercy unto them. So basically, that was wicked what he did. The Most High said not to make a covenant with them. He said, don't show mercy unto them. And this was, in context, we're talking about in the time when the Most High was leading us, to overcome these nations so we can inherit the land that he promised us, promised to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So when we was to go into those lands and deal with those heathen, this is the instruction of what we're supposed to do. We was not supposed to make no covenants with them. We wasn't supposed to make no deals proposing, oh, you could stay here, but you got to do this and that. No, it was just, there was no mercy. That's what it was. That's the time that it was, and that's the time we entering into again, where the Most High is going to raise up his men, the elect men, to 144,000, and he's going to give them spiritual power to subdue the nations all over again. But this time it's going to be every nation, the whole earth.
And it's also a part of our law, because Deuteronomy 7th chapter is part of the law of God. So we know that that law is an everlasting law. So that covenant didn't only mean just make no covenant with the Canaanites or those 5 tribes of Canaanites, those Hamites. It also extended to any nation by context. Any nation, we're not to make a covenant with them. Now, if we're so happen to be in captivity under that nation, we have to live by their laws, but we cannot follow their philosophies. We cannot make covenants with them. We cannot try to hold hand to hand to try to build up a kingdom with that kingdom, with that oppressing kingdom. We're supposed to turn back to the Lord and ask for deliverance from our captivity. Okay? So that's a basic and plain understanding of what that means, that we cannot, we're supposed to observe and respect the laws of the land. We are not to make a covenant with the oppressing people, which is in this world is the so-called Europeans, which are biblically known as the Edomites, the people known as white people today. We cannot make a covenant with them, and that's what Martin Luther King was falsely leading our people into, a covenant with the devil.
I'm going to continue reading right here. It says, verse 3, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. So, that's the point he made in verse 2. But, just to show you a little more context, this is the rules, like the brother said earlier. These are the laws that the Most High gave us pertaining to when we, basically, you could just say when we encounter another nation. Because in the context, we was going to basically have war with the Canaanites and kick them out. But this is in general. How much more if it was just a regular everyday thing? We're the chosen people. We're the Most High's chosen. So we're not supposed to be stooping down to no level of no heathen and making deals with them like that. Especially if we following after their ways. So
that's right.
I'm gonna bring out another scripture in Isaiah 28 and 18. It says, "And your covenant with death shall be disannulled, and your agreement with hell shall not stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, then ye shall be trodden down by it." So you want to break that down now?
You want to read the first part again?
It says, verse 18, "And your covenant with death shall be disannulled."
Yeah, the covenant of death is anything going against the laws of God and the Bible and the teachings of whom the world calls Jesus Christ, whose true name is YAHAWASHI. Anything that goes against those teachings and that law is a covenant with death. And in this world, the so-called Europeans of the United States of America, they've uplifted many things which constitute the covenant of death. So we're not supposed to follow so what they call homosexuality. We're not supposed to follow the customs of this land. We have a dress code we're supposed to follow, which is in the Bible. We have dietary laws which we're supposed to follow in this land. Joining hand to hand with the people of the world, specifically here, the Edomites, the so-called white people, is going to be a covenant with death from the dietary law. Okay, they say you can eat anything. They say you can dress however you want. Women can dress like hoes and walk down the street. There's laws protecting them. That's a covenant with death. Okay, and joining hand to hand with so-called Europeans is going to lead us to go right back and worship God as white, where we know He's black. Israelites were always a dark-skinned people, ranging from different shades of brown. So why would you hold hands with people that look at God as white when that's a lie? Okay, that's whitewashing. Okay, that's a demonic twisting up of the reality of the Bible, because God is black and Jesus is black and His people are people of color. So that's a covenant of death. So you want to read it one more time from the top and we keep going?
It says 18, and your covenant with death shall be disannulled.
That's right.
And your agreement with hell shall not stand.
Yeah, so hell is a condition on earth as captivity, okay? So holding hand to hand with the oppressor is to subconsciously remain in captivity, in slavery, in a minority position, okay? By Martin Luther King joining hands with the so-called white people of the world, okay, who are the rulers of the earth, that's saying that you're always going to play second fiddle, how they say. You're going to be a second tier to the Esau, Edomites, the so-called white race. They're always going to be on top, because they're never going to. There's no such thing as a race trying to make you equal with them. So no race is going to make another race equal with them. So that's always been a mind control thing, to act like they want to hold hands together, when in reality is to make you believe, have a false impression, a false vision, to lull you to sleep, when your position on earth is supposed to be the greatest. The Israelites are supposed to be in the greatest position on earth. And we're going to go into these scriptures and prove that we're not supposed to hold hands hand to hand. We're supposed to be on top of the so-called white man, okay? The Israelites are supposed to be on top.
Nations.
That's right.
Right. I didn't mean to cut you off. So
that's the covenant of hell, you know, to stay in an inferiority complex. That's what it is. To stay in a minority position, a covenant with hell, because nothing has changed since the civil rights era. Okay.
Nope.
So we're still in hell.
Right. The only thing that changes now, we got the truth. You know, now the truth is revealed. You know, that's the only thing that changed, and there's no credit given to Martin Luther King for that, because he didn't reveal the truth. And you know, according to some research that I was doing and stuff, he knew that we was Israelites. And one of his last speeches, he said something about I forgot how he exactly phrased it, but he's definitely mentioned something about being in the kingdom or something like that.
I've been to the mountaintop and I've seen the coming of the kingdom of the Lord coming, and our people shall make it there. So he said our people. He didn't say all people. He said our people shall make it. I might not be there with you. So he actually was told the truth. He found out the truth, and actually that was his very last speech before he got assassinated.
Wow, see?
So he actually knew.
So he did know, but the Most High had his mouth shut. But he definitely, the Most High, the Wada YAHAWASHI YAHAWASHI for giving us his truth. Because I mean, we don't even know what would have happened if the truth would have came out at that time. It wasn't according to the prophecy. So
it was out, but it was beginning. The beginning was at that time.
Fine. Let me read this quick precept real quick. In the spirit, this is Isaiah 60 and 1. I'm gonna read 1 and 2. It says, "Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahawah, BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, is risen upon thee." Verse 2, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. So that was not Martin Luther King's time to shine. Like, that was not the time for our people to shine at that specific time. Now we entering into the time where, the Most High is revealing his truth unto his men, his elect chosen men. And the word is coming out, and the light is being shined forth in the earth, So at that time, and even up until today, you know, the earth is still in gross darkness, but in context of the scripture, it's talking about a light, you know, that's being shined or shown upon the children of Israel.
That's right.
And that light is Yahawashi, because you said this earlier. I meant to pull this one earlier. You know, that darkness, it said, Salaki, it said with death, right? I'm going to go back to Isaiah just real quick to make this quick point. It says, and your covenant with death shall be disannulled. And basically, when you die, you know, it's just darkness, you know, you can't see no more. Your flesh is done. But in Yahawashi is life. So in St. John 1:4, it says, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. So this is the truth. This scriptures, this word, when you read 1 John 1:1, it says, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with Yahweh, and the word was the power. So, you know, that's the point, because you can't making a covenant and agreement with death and hell, meaning anything that's opposing to these scriptures is just going to get you killed, just like Martin Luther King.
That's right.
So, let me see, what else did I have here?
We could go to, I think we got, what, three more, maybe four?
Yeah,
drive home the point.
Jeremiah 23, I'll hit that one up real quick. Jeremiah 23 and 25. I'm going to start at 25. It says, I have heard what the prophets said that prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed. And that's crazy, because that's exactly what he said. He said, I have a dream. You know, but again, that was a lie. The dream was not according to the word. It was according to the covenant of death. He was set up, you know, and he was all set up in that world on the left-hand side to do all that, because obviously he wasn't coming out of the scriptures. So it says, how long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yea, they are prophets of the deceit of their own heart. You know, and heart meaning they're in your mind, you know. So this was a thing that came out his own mind, you know. This is what he just wanted as a person, you know. That's just what he wanted. That wasn't according to the scriptures.
Yeah, he didn't come out and say, thus saith the Lord, you know. He didn't say, let me go to the Psalms 114, let me go to Matthew 23 and such. He said, I have a dream, you know. So he came out of his own mind. So that was very wicked of him to do, because we have to speak as the words of the Bible say.
That's true. And then this crazy part, like you said, it said prophesy lies in my name. It was like he actually came out like he was a man of God, like he actually was a pastor and things like that. So that it's like the same thing as Eddie Long, you know. That's a beautiful thing that happened, you know, 2 days ago, I think it was, or yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. With Eddie Long, you know, that famous, you know, infamous pastor that was doing all that wickedness, you know, to the little kids and stuff like that, raping kids and all type of wickedness. But they don't understand. It's like you coming off as a man of God. Like, your judgment is going to be a lot times worse, you know, than someone who, you know, is just committing wickedness. But you not only committing wickedness, but you coming so-called in the name of God. That's really wicked, bro. That's insane. That's like a double evil. That's like a sin on top of a sin. Like, not only are you already going off by just saying, let's join hand in hand, but now you're saying it like you coming in the name of God. That's ridiculous. That's right. But let me see, what else did we... Oh, I have another one real quick. Jeremiah 2 and 33. Yeah, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, verse 33. It says, why tremest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. So you could break that down if you want, brother.
Yeah, go ahead. You could. The tremest, that's talking to Israelites, you know. The Bible is about Israelites, and the prophet is asking his people back then. And for us, in the last days, we actually looking for love from all the wrong places, how they say, from the different nations of the world, specifically the devil, the so-called white man. So we're supposed to love our own people, you know, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because we're Israelites. We have to fulfill the law with each other in the name of whom the world calls Jesus Christ, in the name of YAHWASHI. We have to teach each other the laws and love each other, okay? But we want to love the other people. We want to love the so-called white mans. So that's all wicked. It says, why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? So we have to seek love from Yahweh, BAHASHAM YAHWASHI. We're not supposed to seek love like Martin Luther King did with the enemy, okay? Those people have a 500-year history and plus, 500-year plus, because we can go back to the Greek Empire. We could go back to the Roman Empire. We could go back to the time of, to the Persian Empire, where there was an Edomite conspirator called Haman. His name was Haman. He conspired to kill the children of Israel. That's in the book of Esther. So we have a long history of the so-called white people, which their true name is the nation of Edom in the Bible, trying to kill us, trying to overthrow us, trying to make us their slaves. So our people cannot look for love from them anymore, because Jesus Christ is coming back with his angels to actually overthrow the status quo, which is the white man ruling the earth. So we can't look for love from our enemy anymore. So this is what Jeremiah was speaking to his people, because our people always, which is the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we look to the nations for acceptance. This is what the scripture is saying, for acceptance.
And basically, the why trimmest thou thy way, our way is what? What's our way? Our way is these scriptures, the law, statutes, and commandments that was given to us, by the hands of Moses. So that, we're not supposed to follow these Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving and all that stuff, but our people do that so that we could fit in with society and we could seek love, from the other nation, to be, like you said, to be accepted. But we have our own way. We have our own high holy days. We have our own week feast. We have our own memorial days. Everything that the world has is just copied from the scriptures. So, we don't even know that our heritage, that the Lord gave us, that Yahweh BAHASHAM YAHWASHI gave us, is the greatest thing on earth. And every other nation is copying off of us, and they have their own little twisted way of what we have. But yeah, we're trimming our true identity and our true ways just to be pleased, please them, when they're the ones that are looking up to us. It's crazy, but that's the way that the order is set up right now. And really, in the kingdom, all Israel is going to be righteous again. So that's a beautiful thing, because right now our people are just desperately wicked. It's crazy. But
what else you got,
the last precept real quick in Deuteronomy 7:6.
Con.
That this is part of it. This is part of the trimming, the trimming of thy ways. Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So that's very plain. That doesn't really even need to really be broken down. If you speak English, I mean, that's simple. The Most High has chosen his people, meaning the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right, which are scattered across the four corners of the earth. He has chosen them to be a special people to himself. So, there was never anything in the scriptures. There's not one scripture in here that tells you to be hand in hand with the other nations or with anyone other than your own people.
Yeah, you can't be hand to hand with if you're above someone. That would be uncomfortable. How you gonna if you're standing above head and shoulders above someone? How can you hold hand in hand with them unless you have a OD long arm?
Right.
If your arm got to be stretched Armstrong to really hold hands with people that's supposed to be underneath you. But we know that's symbolic. We know that we are top people because we are the sons of God. The Israelites on this earth are the blacks, Hispanics, and the Native Americans. We are above them because we are supposed to be the kings and the princes and the lords of the earth. And all people are supposed to be underneath us. It's not talking about people standing next to each other, above all people. All right? And joining hand to hand with people is also symbolic. It's talking about joining their philosophies, trying to be equal with them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, Deuteronomy 7:6 is a scripture which its general meaning is nationalistic. It's saying that the Israelites are above all people. Okay? And it's even above being nationalistic because this is the words of God. So God knows that he made one people to be above all people. So this is why many people do not accept the Old Testament too. They don't accept the Old Testament. They want to go to the New Testament. Martin Luther King was dealing mostly probably with the New Testament, because this is what the preachers do. And the so-called preachers, they deal with John 3:16. They misinterpret that, and they go through the scriptures trying to join everybody into God's family. Where Deuteronomy 7:6 is very explicit and specific, talking about one people, which are the 12 tribes of Israel, above all people on the face of the earth.
That's right. And when you read the New Testament, this is the scripture that the pastors like to overlook. But Yahawashi taught about Moses. That's in the New Testament. So what was he teaching? What was he? If he was reading the law, the scriptures calls it the law of Moses. Isn't this the law of Moses? Wasn't he reading this to his people? I mean, Matthew chapter 1 verse 21 says he came for his people to save his people from their sins. So he was definitely reading these scriptures to them of the Old Testament. There was no New Testament when he was around. So what was he teaching them? So a lot of people, they like to discredit the Old Testament, and it's very plain that the whole book is necessary to get the understanding. And to bring it back to the point that you just said, because you gave a perfect analogy that if you're above someone, it would be very uncomfortable to be holding hands with someone that's under you, right? But that's why Jeremiah said that. Why trimmest thou thy way? You trimming yourself down to be on their level. You know what I'm saying? That's part of trimming it down. We're the chosen people, but our people have been so trodden and beaten, for the last 500 years that we can't accept that as a nation. When we're told that we're the chosen, it's like we worried about everyone else, but no one else is worried about us, So it's definitely an unequal balance that's going on, and the Lord hates that. So he's, Yahawashi is about to return back to this earth and exalt his people again, and debase all the other nations that have lifted themselves above the nation of Israel, and ultimately, first and foremost, above the word of the Heavenly Father. Because the world don't really acknowledge this, This is not something that's widely known. This video probably get a couple of views, but you got Christian pastors and stuff, they got millions of views, and they're not even reading out the Bible. So we know that this word is not popular in the earth, but, that's what we're here to tell you, that pretty soon, 2017 is a year of death, destruction, and diligence.
That's right.
And we hoping that our Lord, Yahawashi, comes back to fix this, because this shit is all messed up. The animals are dying. Everything is polluted. Our people are retarded, out of their mind, drinking all type of drugs. They drinking drugs now. It's not even become a point where you smoking it and sniffing it. Now you drinking drugs. It's ridiculous.
Also, this is not a new thing on the earth where hands are joining in hands, because in the ancient kingdom of Babylon, you had a king named Nimrod. He actually had all nations come together to build a tower, and that tower was to be in a rebellion to the will of God, because God had actually brought a flood to the earth. So Nimrod, in his mind, through Satan, wanted to unite all people to build a kingdom which could never be overthrown, according to his agenda and his plan, which was also picked up now by the modern Babylon kingdom, which is Babylon the Great. That's United States of America. So this is why that spirit was in that contrary spirit, that left-handed spirit was in Martin Luther King. Now it could have been that the secret societies like the Illuminati actually had him try to fulfill that agenda to unite all people. Saying little white girls holding hands with little black boys. That was just the beginning of that thought of multiculturalism, where they would teach all people when they come to the United States of America to speak English, to learn the laws of the land, to respect the history and become Americans. It's the same spirit as ancient Babylon, where all people come together to try to build a kingdom. Well, they have a problem because the kingdom of Jesus Christ is coming. A black Jesus Christ will sit on the throne in earth. So two kingdoms cannot coexist. So the Babylon the Great of Revelation, that's actually speaking of a real government, and that's the United States of America. So it's not a mystery to us why Martin Luther King said hand join in hand, and little white girls and black girls or but it was basically multi-nationalism for all people to come and worship Lucifer, actually, which is representative of the so-called white man. Well, and what the people do not know, this is the point that people do not know, is that even though all nations would try to hold hand in hand together, which is not going to happen, even if they did, the Illuminati was still going to rule the earth. The Rothschilds are still going to rule the earth. The Rockefellers, the Queen of England, the Vatican, they're never going to give up power until YAHAWASHI is sent by Yahawah and the angelic army and overthrows this world, with angelic fire, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way.
That heavenly fire.
The heavenly fire is the only way that there's going to be peace on earth. So all that holding hand to hand, that was always a plan by Satan, starting with Nimrod and the ancient Babylon and modern Babylon, which is America.
So I just want to bring this out and close it out on this because, we left off in the Old Testament, but let's bring it back up because we need to prove that, for the people, we need to prove that this order is still set, even in the New Testament, and even until the coming and the great day, of YAHAWASHI. This order of separating nations is still going to be there. There's not going to be, they didn't talk about no uniting kingdom, on the right-hand side of when the Lord was coming back. It actually speaks about this. This is in Matthew 25, and I'm going to start at 31.
You want me to read it? You break it down? Okay, so Matthew 25, 21?
31. Start at 31.
Okay. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 31. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory.
So in that day, when the Most High sends his Son back to the earth, there's only going to be one throne. It didn't talk about another throne. It just said he will sit on his throne. So keep reading, Ak.
It says, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats.
Right, his sheep from the goats. So he has a possessive noun, his sheep. Keep reading.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Wait, read that again, Salakia. Read that part again, and he shall separate.
It says, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd.
Salakia, this is the Tower of Babel again. This is the whole concept. This is what he's going to come find on the earth is a sheep and goat mixed up together. But he's going to be sitting on his throne. He's going to be taking his sheep and setting them. Well, it's going to say that in the next verse, but he's going to separate the sheep from the goat, basically. So this is not an order that was supposed to be. This is not an order that is ever going to be. It was never supposed to be this way. The Most High separated nations from the beginning. All right, so keep reading it.
As a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats, and he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats are on the left.
So now we know that the Most High deals with right hand things and left hand things. The left hand will represent the wicked, and the right hand represents the righteous. So keep reading.
Then shall the king say unto them
Wait, hold on. Not Martin Luther King. Not Martin Luther King. Then shall the king, with capital K. Who's that talking about? YAHAWASHI. He is the king, not no Martin Luther King. All right, so keep reading. Salakia.
Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world.
So this sheep that was placed on the right hand has a kingdom that has been inherited. That has been promised or prepared for them from the foundation of the earth. And they have an inheritance. So who is this? It's no big mystery. But if you don't read the Old Testament, you won't know. But if you read the Old Testament, you will find out that people or those sheep that is speaking about that have that inheritance of the kingdom is the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So when YAHAWASHI comes back, he will redeem. But this is going a little deeper. This is talking about the elect, all right? Because only 1/3 of the nation of Israel is actually going to inherit it. But in the kingdom, all Israel shall be righteous.
Right.
Okay, but the nations are still not going to be a part of that. They're going to be in the kingdom, but they're not going to be a part of the inheritance of the kingdom. Let's read their part. Jump down to to verse Salakia. Jump down to verse. Hold on. Where was I at again? Where does it? Oh, verse 41.
This is Matthew 25, verse 41. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels.
So this is what's going to happen to the rest of the people, basically. Because first and foremost, this is talking about the 2/3. But, I mean, if the 2/3 ain't even going to inherit the kingdom that's promised, how the hell is any other nation a part of this? This is definitely not talking about any other nation. This is just talking about specifically the nation of Israel. You know, but ultimately the Most High is going to put the order. You know, he gave all judgment to his son, Yahawashi. So Yahawashi is going to judge on his throne and separate everybody, man, and separate the righteous from the, from the unrighteous, the just from the unjust. And he's going to give the kingdom onto the elect.
Con, I got it right here.
The rest of the people is going to be put into the fire, and that's it. That's the end of the story. There's nothing else after that. Bring it out.
And to prove it, so we can end it with this, the kingdom was the general subject and the focus of Matthew chapter 25. So in Acts, the book of Acts, before the Lord was going to depart to the heavens to be with the Father, the apostles had asked him when he would return. So they asked him when would he return, and they specifically asked him when will he return to give the kingdom to the Israelites. So this has always been in the book of Acts. So this proves that from the Old Testament to the New Testament, that the Israelites have been waiting on the kingdom of God to come on earth.
That's right.
So this is Acts chapter 1, verse 6.
You want me to read it, or you got it?
Yeah, you can read it.
All right, chapter 1, verse 6. Salakia. This is the book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 6. It says, when they therefore were come together,
the apostles,
they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel?
That's right. So the apostles themselves, the disciples, had made no mistake. They understood perfectly that when Jesus Christ returns, Yahawashi returns, that the kingdom that would be given to his own people, to the Israelites. Okay, we have an elect, 144,000 that will receive that kingdom in the coming future. So the Gentiles and were always Israelites, okay, because this confirms it as well, because the kingdom would be restored to Israel. Matthew chapter 25.
It says again, right?
So this is clear.
Be restored again.
It's very clear. It's very clear.
So basically, just to have a closing out point too, because you Israelites, out there, you gotta leave all that Black Lives Matter, civil rights movement spirit alone, because this is a greater calling that we're being called to, all right, to the kingdom of heaven, to the king, everything you could ever dream for. This is the kingdom. This is, everybody wants to go to heaven, they say, right? But that's all a myth. That whole dying after you die, you go to some kingdom in the, in the sky, and that's all a myth. The kingdom of heaven is going to be placed on the earth. All right, it's going to be an actual kingdom that's on the earth, and it's promised for you Israelites. So why would you want to march on the street, and stuff like that, and risk your lives marching on the street just to end up like Martin Luther King, when you could be a part of something greater, So, right. I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, that's showing weakness,
too. It don't make any sense.
That's showing weakness. It's showing weakness, protesting and marching and all that. We have to turn back to Yahawah and name his son, Yahawashi, and they will deliver us if we start keeping the ways of Yahawashi in his grace and his mercy, keeping the commandments and teaching our people the truth. Then he will return to overthrow our enemies and give us that kingdom, okay? Not the vision of Martin Luther King, but the prophecies will be fulfilled of the true king, who is Yahawashi. So we're not looking for anything to hold hands in America, hands across America. We're not looking for that anymore. Our people have been deceived for too many years. We have to wake up and return back to the Bible, okay?
That's right, Khan. Well said.
So
we can leave it off at that.
Yeah, all praise is due to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, Yahawashi. And shalom to the AHCHYAM out there. Keep pushing. Keep diligence out there. And we're going to say shalom to the next time.
Shalawam.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shalawam.